What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Plastic Cards Podcast, the show where we break down the video game news of the week, or once a month, or once a year, whenever we feel like it. Gavaroni Jones, you're joining me, and my name is Fonzie. I always forget my freaking name because I don't matter.
That's okay. I forget.
I'm working
your
on
name
replacing myself with AI, so it can just be you, and then it can be how the gods intended this podcast to be.
I think we can do it. I've been playing around with what is it? Microsoft Sidekick or whatever.
Is that they have their own? Everybody has their own AI now. Mr.
Yes.
Beast has his AI. Yeah.
Mr. Who?
Mr. Beast has his own AI. I'm sure.
Christ. How can I spend my money faster?
But yep, we're joining again, Gavin. How have you been?
I've been good. You know, it's last week was Next Fest, or I guess the tail end of Next Fest.
Yeah, the Steam Next Fest demos. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta try some good stuff. How about yourself? I don't know if you got in there.
I've been well. I just with the demos that we played. I think I just recently jumped into Pacific Drive. There wasn't
Right,
the robots.
so you were saying it. I was also coming up with Rim.
But other than that, like we played those demos and they were all awesome. But
Yeah.
But as far as playing things, I've just Death Stranding. I've still been playing it for the past 2 weeks.
That's the joint.
I put like 40 hours at this point.
Really into the replay. Okay.
I'm loving it. I didn't expect to love it as much the second time around, but for some reason, watching that, we talked about it last time we met, watching that just crazy balls to the wall trailer.
Right.
I was just reminded how much I fucking love that game. I just always hated the ending. And this time around, I hate it even more.
Oh,
it's so dumb. But the game is just awesome. It's man, I can't recommend it enough. But I'm in the mood right now where I want to zone out, and not really zone out, because you have to pay attention. Like you have to basically balance the entire time you're playing. It's like you have to balance what you're physically balance these packages that you're holding or when you're driving, but it's just really satisfying.
So I guess the question for you then is, how excited are you for Baby Steps?
For Baby Steps?
Yeah, I believe that was the name of it. It was a game published by Devolver where just walking is...
Yeah, and there's like mud for some reason everywhere, and it's all uphill.
I'm pretty sure it's by Bennett Foddy, the guy that did like Getting Over It and Quap and a bunch of other really
Quap
stupid...
is one of his.
Oh, yeah. I'm
the sound that
90...
I make
You haven't seen Quap?
No, I'm gonna look that up first. I'm assuming Q.
No, I think we just play Quap at the end of this. I think you need to experience.
Is it a Flash game? How do I download it?
Well, it is a web game, but yeah. So I think that's how we end the stream today with some Quap. You need to know, and no peeking.
Okay.
It's
But the one you're talking about is a game that I feel like I've seen footage randomly for a while now.
Yes.
I don't know when this thing is. But what was the remind me of the title?
Baby Steps, I think.
Because some of the PlayStation Direct stuff they've been promoting it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is something that comes out soon.
This thicky boy, and I do wonder if they made him so thick to possibly help with the physics and make it easier for him to walk.
What do you mean by that?
Like I don't know very much about what kind of physics they're doing or how it handles like center of mass, or if this is like largely faked, but like could some extra weight back there?
That's true.
Help?
Do you know? I mean, I've just seen like footage that they've released, but when you're controlling the steps, are you also keeping in check like your balance going forward and back, or it's just left, right? Is it your knees in play too? Like how complicated is it?
This is an excellent question.
But
I can tell you in Quap the answer is very much yes.
Okay.
Gotcha. No clue. So we're hyped for this then.
Yeah, this is one I've seen. It's like so weird. I'm absolutely down for this. If you could integrate, because with Death Stranding, we're talking about that. I was going to say last week, just now. Death Stranding integrated a bunch of like Half-Life stuff and Cyberpunk stuff. I want to see it like a Death Stranding outfit in this game. Yeah, they had some kind of deal with various people where they just threw in like there's like a crab. What's the Half-Life crab?
Head crab.
There's just a mask or like a helmet you could have.
You think that thing has an official name that's just not head crab?
I think head crab has got to be. Maybe in the lore there's some kind of like proper name for it.
Right.
But yes, this is awesome. And then there's a point where this main character falls over and his butt jiggles a little bit. And I'm hoping that we get some like, there's boob physics. I want to see more butt physics going forward, especially this dude's thick butt.
More importantly, independent butt physics. Because
Yes.
I was reminded
Of the
as
cheeks.
I was watching a what happened. I don't know if you watched them on YouTube, but it goes over a history of some games, and they did on Bouncer, which I remember was a game that blew my mind back in the day on the PS2, but also it did not have independent boob physics. So whatever one boob did, the other boob was just gonna do the exact same thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's usually what they end up doing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it called The Bouncer?
The Bouncer. But this was, I mean, it was super early on in the PlayStation, but it was.
Was
I
it
mean,
beat
can
'em
you
up?
imagine this super early on in the PlayStation? This was mind
Is that the guy from
blowing.
Kingdom Hearts?
So I believe it was one of the same designers that designed him, and that's why he looks almost exactly
It's
like Sora.
absolutely him as a teenager.
Yeah, and it was by Square Enix.
Okay.
Um, no, but yeah, very much of that era. You got the leather, you got the chains.
Yeah, that's him.
But you didn't have independent boob physics. You could simulate one boob, and you just copy it over.
I mean, one boob does the same as the other boob. It's like the Schrodinger cat thing. It's like, or the particle that if once you start to monitor it, it's like it does the thing that you're not expecting. It's science. It's like one boob's going to do the same as the other boob.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you only look at one boob, then the other boob's doing something crazy.
But you got to have independent butt cheeks because otherwise you can't make them clap. Or
Oh,
depending
interesting.
on
That's true.
how you're doing the. Anyway.
They do have to work opposite from each other. Yeah, Megan says Heticus crabicus could be the scientific
Heticus crabicus.
for the head crab.
That sounds legit. I'm
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
But yeah, Dead Stranding 2, you got to play it. It's on PC, so you have no excuse to not play it.
Yeah.
Just drop an easy 40 hours into the game. Whenever you got 40 hours free, just play it, man.
Into Half-Life?
Into Death Stranding.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay, well. I thought I almost had you on there, but
One of these days I will actually play a Kojima game. Like I've always bounced, and it's not that they're not amazing, they're not masterpieces. He will make one for me one of these days, and it's not going to be any of his horror games because fuck that.
yeah, I don't know. And then the Metal Gear Solid games never called out to you? For me, it was always like
I'm
they
not
look
much of
cool.
a stealth boy though.
Gotcha.
Even though you can just go guns a blazing,
You can,
but
and,
that's
like,
clearly not how it's meant to be played.
Especially in 5, that was the one that I honestly jumped into and played the most, which is like the most recent one,
yeah.
which might be around 10 years now. It's been a while, like when you actually think about Metal Gear Solid 5. But you just have so many options. So yeah, you can play it stealthy, and that's kind of what they intend on you playing it.
Mhm.
But you can go in and kind of just, and that's always how it goes with stealth games. It's like you kind of try to play it, stealthily, and then it just shit hits the fan, and you have to just
Yeah.
figure it out in real time, which is also the fun in it. Thinking of like, God, what's the assassin game that?
Assassin's Creed?
Nope, it's from
Dishonored?
Dishonored. Yes,
There we go.
that's always my intention with Dishonored is to go stealth and then I have to kill everyone. It just happens. But yeah,
Yeah, but at least that has quick save, so you can just save scum all
That's
day.
true.
I'm the most invisible man there was.
that is true.
Yeah.
That's what I've been playing. Gavin, what you been up to?
Yeah, not I've been doing some demos, so I did check out a few demos, but lately I don't know why I decided to jump. Well, I do know why. I finally watched the first Mad Max, which I don't know.
The first, the
The
original,
very
Mad Max.
first, which I was not aware is not post-apocalyptic. It is pre-apocalyptic.
Is it happening at least in real time? Like that's the catalyst for the post-apocalyptic stuff. It's like it's happening then.
Nope.
Or it's all
Nope.
Okay.
This is just new.
Mel Gibson with the job, and he's,
Yeah, he's a cop.
He's a
He's
cop,
in
right?
Australia, and these criminals, man, they're getting crazy, and these cops appear to have no money, which would make sense because this movie had
That's
a
realistic.
budget of $325,000. Like this is, I think, had a record for over 20 years of the highest like turnaround profit for like money spent to money made.
oh, interesting, because they spent just bare bones to make it.
Exactly. So $325,000 to make it, over $100,000 or $100 million worldwide.
Is the original with the Miller guy, the director?
Yes,
Okay.
it was one of his, I think, first breakout things, and Gibson too. But yeah, and then I jumped into 2, which is a actual decent movie. And
They gave him a budget, I imagine.
yes, they gave him a budget, and it's fun. So I've started playing Mad Max the game, and it's kind of dope.
Yeah, I have it too. It's like I just never. But I'm an idiot where if there's too many, and we'll talk about Pacific Drive at some point,
Oh,
if there's too many mechanics that they start to throw at you,
Mhm.
I kind of go like, I just start resisting and I go, no, and I just back out.
Yes.
There's a way, because of my delicate brain, you have to like subtly start to add components to it where I don't even know or think about it anymore. It's just
Yeah.
happening.
And this definitely does that. It's like tutorial, tutorial, tutorial,
Yeah.
tutorial, and it just keeps. I mean, it's cool that it has all these systems, but it is a lot. And I'm hoping maybe it'll stop tutorialing here in a minute. It also
So they're still
loves.
going with the tutorials and like another component,
I'm
another
probably only
thing.
3 hours in, but it's also
Gotcha.
like hammering you with like it loves to take control out of your hands. Like, oh, I want to go refill this container. Move the camera around. We're gonna do this. Like, I'd love it if it were closer to, you know, a lot of it. Like Grand Theft Auto doesn't take control away from you very much at all, and move the camera and do this stuff. But
Yeah, although there's times where they do, but it's like story driven stuff. But I don't know. It's like and it's all relative to like the actual player. But there's times where you
yeah,
as a player go like, okay, I'm cool with them explaining something to me, and I'm still like on board. And there's times where you're like, I just want to play it. So it's
right,
that's got to be a hard like thing to nail, where it's like a moving target where everyone's different.
yeah.
But I honestly played, when I think back, I've played maybe a good 3 hours of this, and it wasn't bad.
So
I
you're probably
just
almost out of the tutorial.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but it's very pretty. It runs super well on the Steam Deck. You
We
take
played on
that.
Steam Deck.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, it runs super well on the Steam Deck. It's also really freaky. There was a mission I was at where the big storm in Fury Road that happens. They had to drive through, and it's like
Yes.
lightning, and there's giant shit. Like, so that happened, and that was super cool. So like I was in cover. I'm like, well, I gotta progress, so I moved around, and then like a bumper flew out of nowhere and just smacked me across
Were
the
you on the
room.
car
No,
on
I
the
was
outside?
outside. I was in
Yes.
like a thingy, and that was awesome. I
I feel
loved
like I
that
remember that.
moment. But yeah, the car is very cool. It's interesting that the car has the same controls as you do. So if you want to sprint, it's still right trigger. If you want to melee, it's whatever. I don't have an Xbox controller in front of me, but
B or
it's
something.
X.
Okay.
And then the direction, if you want to do your shotgun, it's both in both. So it's interesting that making an extent of your body. But yeah, and then I played some Wave Race 64 on
What?
Nintendo, whatever Nintendo's Game Pass is, out of nowhere.
Did you rent it and it's the 1997 or something?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That was the first time I
What
64
did you play this on?
controller on whatever the Nintendo's expansion pass is.
Oh,
Dude,
for the Nintendo Online.
yeah, this game I remember as a kid loving this game, and I got through the campaign, and holy fuck, this game is brutal. Like these waves do not care that you're trying to take a corner. They will bump you up into the air, and you'll miss all the little slalom points,
Hmm.
and it's pretty fucking brutal. And I'm playing on easy.
We're looking at footage now. I
Yeah.
don't know if this is some kind of PC, upgrade
Mhm.
shenanigans going on, but the waves, the
Uh-huh.
actual, texture, or like
Whoa! What the fuck? I didn't know you could do that.
the waves just look nuts.
Yeah.
And is this how it actually looked when we played it?
So it is just blurrier. The one thing that there's a really cool behind the scenes on this, and the thing that if I tell you how it works, you're not going to be able to unsee it. Is see how the waves aren't very far from the
The child
camera?
labor that causes the wave?
Exactly. No, the wave. It's not an actual wave simulation. The waves are. It's very pre-recorded, so different areas have different intensities,
Uh,
and so it's always going to be the same. But they don't pop up until they're like a few yards in front of you.
okay.
So when you actually watch them go, you'll see just the whole thing spark. But it really works with the illusion on the N64, and it looks amazing.
So they're playing with how you see it, but like you can count on that bump always being there when you hit that point, wherever it is.
or at least that kind of like, let's say, sine wave to be in that particular area
okay.
when you get there is always going to be
But like
the
I think
same.
of like some kind of ATV game where you're on like a mud course. It's like, are those bumps always there, or they just like make sure they put them there right before you get there?
Oh, I mean, in this case, because what they're doing with the wave, but now you can really see how the water. It's not very far in front of you with the waves.
That's true. That's true.
Um,
And if you make them like peak high enough, then you can't see what's ahead of you, so it kind of plays with the illusion.
right, right. But yeah, I still, man, it's hard to control, but it's fun to try. But
What made you want to play this?
I don't know. I was like, this would be a good game before bed. Like
Okay.
this would be real chill. It is not chill. You have to be going full speed if you want to get to actual full speed, which is this max power thing in the bottom right.
Ah,
And the CPUs, even on easy, will pass your ass
gotcha.
and not let you get back in front of them. So it's, I don't know.
And there's environmental stuff in your way. There's not like shells you
There-
can throw or
That's
whatever.
the other thing. There's cool environmental stuff. There's like weather effects. There's one area that's on a lake that starts off like it's the cool one because it has the least waves. It's very chill.
Mm.
But it starts off foggy.
Yeah.
And then it clears out. Or there's one where the tide goes down and you could go under stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like it's really creative. It's amazing what they did for the 64.
Was there anything before Wave Race was Wave Race a franchise that we know of, or it's like it started on the 64? Was there a Super Nintendo version of this that we know of?
Oh boy!
Or this is like we
am
built this for 64.
Trying to remember, it is possible that the Game Boy.
There's like Excite Bike I think of,
yeah,
which is an older property.
It is possible that the Game Boy, black and white Game Boy version of Wave Race came out first. I think the 64 version came out first.
Gotcha. I just wonder if this is
Maybe.
like I don't remember it being like a franchise is already a big thing, and then this is on 64.
Yeah.
I just think of Wave Race 64.
Well, and the GameCube one kind of killed it because despite the fact that it had like ridiculously good like physics, it had like 4 courses. So that was just not for a full $60
Yeah.
GameCube game. That's a lot. But yeah, aside from this, which highly recommend, go out and try it. Just let demos.
I think I still have the Nintendo online thing because it's like $2 or whatever a month. I think I have the month thing. So I still own it.
The only thing that sucks is the expansion pass to get the Game Boy Advance and the 64. You have to pay a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
But my buddy just put a whole bunch of people on his family plan. So
nice.
I am mooching off of that.
Throw me on there. I can be an adopted cousin. Now, do you think so are they up to 64, not GameCube yet, right?
No, and that was a rumor for the thing tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Because there's a Nintendo Direct. But now, do you think if they were to go, okay, we're going to throw some GameCube games on there, are we going to also increase the price, like with every iteration?
I would just guess the GameCube games straight up aren't free.
Okay.
Like the rest of them have been.
Like they're going to charge per a la carte kind of thing.
That would be my assumption. But that way they can start building up people's, like Phil Spencer said with the Xbox, this is one of the levels.
Ooh.
No, is it not?
Now, if you hit these left, right, or that's just telling you go left, go right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Sort of a slalom. This is one. So previous lap, that might not have been available to go under, but also it's still tricky because you got all those poles.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, just doing some demos for Next Fest. Did you have anything? I know you played the Indica demo.
I did for like a split second.
You solved a couple of puzzles based on where you told me you got.
I don't know. I was hanging around with.
You got chased by a wolf.
I don't remember that.
You would have.
I know you start the game off. You're on a bike, or like a steampunk bike for some reason.
Which did you notice? Like that the bike was making the 8-bit noises.
No, I was playing in the living rooms. I took the computer over there, which is probably how I fried whatever I did in my computer in the first place, because I was unplugging and plugging back in.
Yeah.
But I couldn't hear everything because I just didn't have it turned up all the way. But so no, I didn't notice there was like 8-bit sounds out of the retro steampunk bike that this nun has.
Yeah, it had like a steam motor, and I'm like, why is it playing 8-bit music? And then I stopped moving, and it stopped, and I realized it was that. But it's got that weird like video game aesthetic where. Yeah. You'll get points and it doesn't tell you what the points are for.
I remember seeing that, and they're really taking that whole idea just to the max, where it's just like all this weird video game shit is happening.
Yeah.
At the same time, this story's happening that seems like it's a period piece almost. And then I had to drag this piece of shit around. And it's like this. I don't like this guy. I know he's going to betray me or whatever. He's talking nonsense the whole time.
Well, it sounds like he's not he's holding you captive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
why don't I get on my steampunk bike and fly away? This guy has,
he's not going anywhere. You got to give him injections. Like,
well, why do I care?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think when the final thing you might be able to push forward? I know you said you were having trouble with some of the demos this week because you were on cold meds. I don't know if that would have affected this one.
This was one of the games, and I was playing this in Pacific Drive when I was just tripping balls off of cold medicine, and I intentionally took too much because I'm just a weirdo. But I put this game on, and I'm just like, I know it's supposed to be weird, and I'm playing it, and I was on board. It's just it got to the point where later in this demo, it starts to change or like mess with like phasing out the the world you're in. So like
Right.
this church basically would like shift, and you have to. I could see that was a puzzle itself,
Right.
but I couldn't quite figure it out, and I'm barely remembering like who am I and where my hands go and what are buttons, and so I just kind of couldn't proceed further.
Okay.
But I was on board with this because it's just so weird. And I've seen the trailers where it's just like we talked about, Death Stranding. I love this kind of stuff that's so weird and wacky, and I want to keep playing it.
Yeah. I want to see more. It's very weird. I think one thing that they very clearly did on purpose, but it killed me, is like, the points that you get, you don't know what the points are for. And it's like, oh, here's your skill tree where you just find more ways of getting points. And you almost get to whatever's at the end of the points trail, and then the demo ends.
Okay.
And I'm just.
But I could see that following through the whole game where it's like these don't do anything or go anywhere. It's
Oh, that'd be
just some kind of
amazing. I would love
meta
that.
critique on the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, I hope they do that. That'd be perfect. But yeah, it's very weird. It's very cool. The level, it's very like, it's some weird, I don't know. It's not quite alternate history. It's definitely alternate, but it's almost like fairy tale levels of like that building with the weird. It was like you were stuck in. It was like a slaughterhouse for a weird like robo pig. And I don't know if you remember, just to get to that, I think you had to climb up this like staircase that just like goes and goes and goes, and it's so weird.
This is the wrong game to play to also be on pain meds or whatever, because I don't remember, and I can't remember if I'm dreaming half of this stuff up.
Yeah.
But this is the game that will make you think, did I imagine this? So I remember this kind of stuff. I was in this little area.
Yeah. And gorgeous game too. Like,
yeah,
really,
and it's funny because it's like there's times where it's like really, really gorgeous, and other times it's like, oh, this is like a Half-Life 2 mod or whatever.
Yeah.
It just kind of shifts back and forth between that, but it looks really good overall.
So this is where the dog would have been. Sorry, not a wolf, a dog.
I just kept running. Yes, I do remember this part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get on your little motorbike and like Pee-wee, and you just sail off.
No, you lose your motorbike here.
Oh.
Unless you found a way to keep it.
In my fan fiction, we had the bike still.
In your fan. But this wolf freaks me out because he kind of teleports around in like a later section.
Yeah, and just the light from the eyes. Yeah, I can see that. Be absolutely terrifying.
It's freaky. Yeah, but there was that, and then Pacific Drive. I don't know if we want to jump into that.
And I think you played more of it, but what are your overall intentions? And I guess before we jump into that.
Oh, okay.
Do I have another audio playing? No, I don't. Okay. So I have
got some review scores.
Just an overall breakdown. So on Pacific Drive, there was a 77 Metacritic on PC, which is pretty decent. And I wasn't expecting this to blow my hair back necessarily. I wanted to make sure that
you got to roll down the window first.
Yeah, there you go. Was there windshields in this game? I don't know if it's just blasting at you.
If you maintain them.
Right. But I just wanted to personally, I wanted to see did they nail, after playing the demo a little bit, did they nail or balance all the different mechanics and stuff and different, not currencies, but stuff that you're building that goes towards different things you can manipulate with your car. And I was just curious about that. But it seems like overall they did do that. But that is some of the criticisms with the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Is if you're hoping for this to not be like a crafty survival game, sorry, this is very much that.
Right.
So that I will get past it. That is definitely not my kind of game. I can probably push through. But it just, man, it looks so cool.
And I go back and forth where the crafting stuff, if the gameplay loop is fun enough, then that does keep me going. Say a Minecraft or God, I'm trying to think of The Forest a little bit I've played of.
Oh, you did play The Forest.
Yeah, but that's the worst. The first one.
Okay.
That's the worst example because it's I didn't really stay on long enough for that. Okay. But it's if the gameplay loop is intriguing or fun enough, then I'll keep gathering resources and stuff. And this one already has me with the concept where it's I do want to upgrade my little car. What is it? Is what's a proper name for it?
It's one of those ones where if you weren't asking me that question, then I would know what it is.
Vanderschmoot. It's a 70s, apparatus.
It's
Winnebago? Nope, that's not where we're getting there.
It's a car.
It's a car. It's your standard 70s
Land
car.
Cruiser, but not with that name.
Yeah. It's I like this idea, and it seems like it wants you to stay in the car except for when you're scavenging for stuff.
Which you are Constantly.
Yeah.
Did you get that far in the demo where you actually got out in the car?
I was at one point they let me go, out into
Mm-hmm.
the next area that is not walled off or that is walled off.
Right.
But as soon as I start finding these basically enemies, like there's one, it looks like a flying little UFO,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
will just grab your car and just like throw it around.
Fucking yoink ya.
Yeah. And I was angry. I'm just like yelling at this guy's like, hey, I don't know, that seems bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And it kept doing it. But and then just like floating, glowing, things I could tell that were not my friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, then it was nice to go and scavenge stuff. But also, when I think of Death Stranding, for some reason, you are experiencing this world, venturing out in this world, and I was thinking of this game with just like something to transition to. But with Death Stranding, they leave you alone enough sometimes to like let you catch your breath.
Yep.
And I fear that with this game, where it's just like the elements are always against you, where it's like, when do I feel safe? Like driving around for a second or whatever.
Right. And from what I heard in reviews, the big thing is like, yeah, for the most part, it's as hard as you want it to be. But if you really want to progress, you're gonna have to kind of take some risks and maybe push yourself, get your car ready, and go out and do something a little more challenging. Which that's exciting. I'm a giant wuss,
Right?
so I'll probably be like, oh, what have okay.
And there's no, you don't have like a weapon of any kind, right? You're just like, your car is the whole thing. So you have to be defensive or what have you, but you can't like attack anything, right?
Yeah, not that I know of, but I don't know. We'll find out in 2 days, I suppose.
Yeah, is it Thursday when it launches?
But I'm also super excited because I have the whole weekend to play it.
Right.
So I'm gonna go to town on this game. But yeah, just there's so much scavenging and like it's very slow and arduous. Just like give me my Fortnite pickaxe and let it all just vacuum into my backpack.
Right.
Don't make me.
Yeah, in some games it's just getting over that hump of knowing what to do, and then you kind of feel comfortable rinse and repeating the whole like scavenging part where it's like, okay, I know I'm looking for this component. I know roughly what gets me that, so I'm going here. I know how to kind of survive or avoid the things I need to avoid. I think it's just getting over that to where then you feel like, okay, I'm going back and I'm venturing for stuff and I'm coming back to home base.
Yeah.
That seems cool to me. I just want to get to that point. And I don't know if there's a story per se, because there's the beginning part, but I just don't know if as you're playing that unfolds the story or if there's just always weird stuff constantly and you're just trying to keep this Winnebago. Nope, I already said that. What's the name of this 70s vehicle?
Oh boy, I cannot remember.
White Snake? What's the
It's a
what's
very
the 70s
well-known name.
Yeah, dang it, I cannot think of the car. It's not Winnebago, right? We've established that's like
that's an RV.
RV. Okay. Yeah.
I tried to prep.
Mini
That's
Cooper.
one thing that bugs me is their little cable there goes through trees. So you'd think like, oh, it's gonna wrap around the tree. I'm safe, and no, you're not. I tried to prep a little bit for this because I'm so excited, and I hear it's kind of like Outer Wilds meets Subnautica. So I tried playing a little bit of Subnautica to prep when I was playing that on my Steam Deck, and I tell you what. That game too scary. Like it's not even
I've never played it.
It's not even that scary, but like you're in the middle of this ocean and it just says, "Hey, go like find stuff and craft." And by the way, you don't have a fucking map and underwater vision is very low. So good luck finding the thing you just found 20 seconds ago but had to return to base, and you're going to have to go back out cuz your storage is tiny.
It's first person, right?
Yeah, first person the whole way, which is it's very immersive. But these guys also Unknown Worlds, it's very interesting with them because they tried like their previous game was one of my favorites of all time called Natural Selection.
Yeah,
which is a RTS / first person shooter. And it was team based and it was super cool. And then their new game is like a minis like tabletop game that was just digital. Like it's interesting how these guys are just doing whatever. They want to make a bunch of different style of games.
Yeah. Now this already, and I know I've seen footage of this game, but I have whatever that phobia is with the ocean.
Okay.
Where I just nope the fuck out. And this is all underwater in the ocean with monsters. Legit,
There
actually,
are
what I
lots of
imagine is in there. This is
monsters.
what's in this game. Yeah.
And I don't think you have a good way of fighting them. I could be
Great.
wrong,
Yeah, it's
but
fantastic.
yeah, so just deal with it. It's fine.
And you were not, as far as like the spookiness or the mechanic stuff, because are you juggling a lot of mechanics that you know of compared to like Pacific Drive, or this is just like you wanted to go into something that was similar?
I guess it's just similar in kind of concept. Of,
Gotcha.
yeah, go out, get the thing, go back
Everything's
to base,
trying to hurt
craft
you.
some stuff. Yeah. But I don't know.
But it is
So-
gorgeous, and especially with like Pacific Drive, that world reminds me of like a Half-Life, just like a weird freaking thing.
Really?
So I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what also keeps me wanting to play it, or keeps that loop going. Is like I want to see what's out there because it's super weird.
Station wagon.
Yeah, but even that kind of sounds. I think Station Wagon is.
Yeah, it's a station wagon.
Okay. Station I feel like Winnebago's involved in there. I'm not letting that go.
Yeah.
Again, we'll transition to some of the new stuff. So Pacific Drive, we're both super excited for. I don't know if I want to see how the PS5 version unfolds, because
Makes
some of the
sense.
reviews said that it was a little like frame ratey and not right there, but it seems like PC it's going to work.
That surprises me because it's not. It is a really good looking game, but it's not doing anything too crazy.
Yeah, and it was like pushsquare.com I watched their review, and they're like, even the load times on PS5 aren't the best. So it's like maybe just like an optimization issue. Maybe the first day or two there's an update, and then it's it's back to normal.
Yeah.
But I just wonder, and then or do I get on PC? So I'm just kind of waiting to see how that
I
works.
mean, you got the 40 whatever. You might as well do it on PC.
Yeah, but I like the PS5. It's in the living room. I don't have to do anything.
All right.
But yeah, I probably shouldn't have built a PC again, because it's like you have to honk it over to the living room and blah blah blah.
Dude,
I hate that.
we're just gonna get you a long HDMI cable and call it
I
good.
bought one.
Did you?
And it didn't work.
Oh.
I bought one that's like there's special HDMI cords that are thin, so you can kind of bend it around stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. Plug it over here, bend it, and like have it always around various corners, so I can just leave the cord there, because there's like really thin HDMI cords, but it wouldn't carry a signal for whatever reason. So, yeah. But I have thought about it. I could get just like a standard like super 20-foot long one. I'm gonna trip over it. I'm gonna die, so I'm avoiding that.
Yeah.
But again, we'll get into our video game news here. So Komori is a game. So this is from the game dev Unseen, which is Ukumi Nakamura. If you remember her from the E3 conference, she was doing the she's from
super bubbly lady.
Yes.
What did she? Whose company did she even work for?
So she was with Tango Gameworks. She was working on, and she has worked on The Evil Within. At that time, she was promoting Ghostwire Tokyo. She was the creative director.
Right.
She left midway through development, which I just looked that up recently. I don't know. She had a kid around the same time, so that might have been why. Anyway, she left.
Gotcha.
She's making her own studio, and there's a little snippet of some updates on what that game is going to look like, which I have.
With her massive, ridiculously expensive studio. Did you ever see that tour of like?
Yes, I remember. There's like maybe Game Awards after that. They've talked about how somehow there's a lot of money that was poured into this. I don't know if you knew but God, God bless her. But there's little snippets of gameplay in this trailer here on Twitter. It's a longer deep dive on the studio, but there's little snippets of gameplay and concept stuff.
Interesting.
But the little alpha stuff that they do show is pretty neat.
So this is
Work in progress.
Whatchamacallit Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive?
Yeah.
In Japan, in Tokyo. I even think of like Spider-Man in Tokyo. Almost that same kind of like they're focusing on movement, on being flashy with it. But that's really it, because it's a longer dev update. But as far as the gameplay they show, it's pretty much just this short Twitter trailer.
I mean, I mentioned. Okay, so you got kind of another secret world.
Yeah.
Within our world,
Like
Am
Japanese
I crazy, or
folklore.
is the character kind of stretching out a bit when they jump?
It's possible going for this like anime cartoony kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm just not used to seeing that. Also, that's kind of hard to do.
They might mess with the camera where it's at. Maybe that causes that effect. But
Maybe could be. Yeah, so big open world. You're gonna be.
like these dudes that you can kind of summon.
How many attacks does this character have?
I'm sure there's gonna be a ton. It's really neat. It's got like a crazy amount of style to it.
Yeah. Oh, good for them. That's exciting. Very, very much giving me Sunset Overdrive vibes, but
Yes.
it's definitely different. But
I wonder if because I think about that game every once in a while, Sunset Overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if maybe it's not the industry, but like if people will come around to that eventually, like, oh, we kind of missed this game. It was really,
Yeah.
really interesting and it fits. I would love to see like some kind of, not really an HD remake. I mean, it's already an HD, but like some kind of re-release of it just to give it some more life, because that was a really cool game that really spawned what they did with Spider-Man, focusing on movement. So yeah, bring that back and maybe release it on other platforms, because it was locked on Xbox One. It was a release or pretty close to launch. And I wonder if that's why, because probably people bought the Xbox when it came out.
I tried playing it like maybe a year ago. It still holds up really well.
Yeah.
Like the intro's a little bit slow, which is kind of insane because that game's all about speed.
Right.
Um,
yeah, same where I've played it, but not that I haven't spent that much time with it. So I'm in the same boat where it's like I need to give it another shake because it is really cool.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So.
A little update from her in her studio. Gavin got the Borderlands trailer.
Yeah. Very, very short teaser anyway, because the trailer's out tomorrow? Or when's
Trailer is out
the
tomorrow.
actual trailer?
Yes. Trailer's out tomorrow. We got a very short snippet, tiny bit teaser. This is Borderlands. And I don't know what you can gain from this little trailer here, because it's really not much. It's really not much. You do see the main Kate Blanchett playing whoever this character is with the red hair.
What was she? She's, what do they call her? The Fire Queen or whatever. So she's the main character, the first one. I like that gun, which I don't think that gun was in the first one, but it's got the
revolving,
rotating barrel, which makes absolutely no sense, which is great. This game's not about making sense.
Well, unless it's like shooting from the main base, but it'd have to time it with the barrel rotating to send it through. But yeah, I don't know how that.
Well, part of that whole, my understanding, like the barrel isn't even for like cooling or anything. It's still like the whole mechanism with rotating all that and the way it feeds is just so it can feed faster and fire faster.
This does remind me, not related at all, but there was the Nazi shooting game, Wolfenstein, the remake ones. I think it's the second one. There is a shotgun that has like 3 barrels, and the barrels rotate. It's like a machine gun shotgun or Gatling gun shotgun. It's fucking awesome. Like the animations are great. It's like that, but a shotgun that's doing that. I think Doom eventually ended up doing something like that too.
Oh, I'm sure. So yeah, we got her. We got a brief clip of
a little bit of Kevin Hart.
Oh, I thought Terry Crews was supposed to be playing that role.
Well, there's
Kevin Hart,
3 feet in difference in height, but yes, that's Kevin Hart versus.
That character is supposed to be a big guy. This is
no, they are taking like different like it switched whatever video. Let me go back here. They are taking liberties with like the characters, right? Because like Kate Blanchett's character is older compared to like the younger person she's playing,
right?
So it seems like they are playing with. I don't know who Kevin Hart's character is supposed to be.
I forget his name. He's kind of like in every game. There's sort of like kind of a boring's not the right word, but sort of like a boringly designed kind of middle of the ground like
military dude.
Yeah. So his character's big thing is that he can throw out turrets, which I played him. I thought it was cool, but I also like turrets.
Yeah, they always say that about you.
This looks like a giant skag,
which is a character in the enemy in the game.
It's like think like if a coyote was also a reptile.
Yeah.
So they've got like this big unhinged jaw thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, basically wild dogs.
Now trailer, what does this make? Is this from the game too?
Yeah. No. Okay. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Although that does, I'm shooting the shit, but like the game intro is always burned into my mind. The first Borderlands, I think even the second, never played the third.
Yeah.
But the way they mix the music, and it's like Cage the Elephant is in one of them. I think the original. As far as the intro song that they're playing, kind of introducing you to the world.
It is not.
It's either the sequel they did, Cage the Elephant, or it's another, or they vice versa.
Probably the sequel.
Anyways, like the way they play with that, it's very cinematic. So I want to see how it lends to like, are they going to play with that with the beginning intro to the movie, and also tie back to that?
I'm sure they will, and I think what's his name is pretty well attached to this production.
Eli Roth, the director.
Yeah. So I'm wondering here. It's been a while since I played, but I wonder if Jamie Lee Curtis is supposed to be playing Tannis.
I don't know. Yeah, if I did any research.
So she's kind of an unhinged scientist lady. So
I believe that from the snippets of footage.
Yeah, very interesting. Just how much older the cast is than the characters they're playing.
Yeah.
I don't know who the heck is playing Tiny.
Is this not Tiny Tina?
That's Tiny Tina. I don't know
Okay.
who's playing her.
Keep there we go. Doing some kind of backflip maneuver
Right.
into like dynamite, I would imagine. Is that
Which
someone?
is her thing.
Now this.
That's Krieg.
Okay, I always remember this as just like a generic NPC that you shoot.
Unless it is a generic NPC, but
that's a very
well,
iconic thing with Borderlands is that character. I just didn't know that was a person.
No, I think Krieg got added at the end of. I think he was added in 2, so maybe this isn't Krieg. Maybe this is just a generic bag. He just seems very built, whereas most of these guys are very, very scrawny.
Yeah.
And Krieg is big and gets in there.
Gotcha.
He's one of those, like, I think he was one of those characters where the lower your health is, the more damage you do. So you really just get in there and kill everyone before your health drains.
Okay. Did
And
you have
Claptrap?
So Jack
Josh
Black.
Gad? Oh, it's Jack Black.
Yeah, he's voicing that character.
Okay.
That much I know. Then you have a last bit with Kate Blanchett, and then that's it.
Yeah. Everything looks very colorful, so that's good.
This is a movie that I remember it being a thing when it was announced and when it was being shot, because it was being shot during the pandemic. It's been so long. I feel like 2019, 2020, and we're going on 4 years that this thing is going to come out. It's a hot minute.
It's a long for a movie.
And I remember also keeping up with the updates on this because I'm a big Bobby Lee fan, the comedian. We've got to see him in live a couple of times. He's awesome. So he's going to be in the movie. And I remember him talking.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
He doesn't mention which character because I don't think he honestly fucking knows who he's playing.
I'm guessing he's just some
But he's a big gamer
character.
too. But
Oh, really?
yeah, and he talked about like because they went to like Romania, somewhere crazy to film a lot of his scenes. And there's like crazy chaotic like mass just like amount of people on screen for some of these battle sequences. And he just mentioned like how nuts it was filming it. But he had Eli Roth, the director, on his podcast maybe a month ago. But they couldn't talk about Borderlands because it was the strike happening. So they couldn't even promote. But that's why he had him on, because like they both were in the Eli Roth directed it. So that was frustrating because it's like, I want to know what's the update on this movie because it's been so long. But finally we get a trailer here.
What has Eli Roth done?
So there was a Thanksgiving, that snippet that was part of Grindhouse and stuff.
Yeah.
They finally made that a movie. That just came out, like I want to say last year.
Okay.
So he was working on that. And then Borderlands was the past 2 or 3 years that they've been filming that.
Yeah.
I know there was like pickup scenes or like reshoots. So it's like a whole ordeal getting this movie made.
Oh, always a good sign historically.
Yeah. Yes. So I know he's working on that. Borderlands for a while. So beyond that, it seems like he's been busy. I know he produces a bunch of stuff too. It's always like, Eli Roth is part of whatever horror movie. It's like he's just giving notes or whatever.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
this does remind me though. Speaking of video game movies, so a movie I watched last night out of nowhere called Dark City. You ever heard of this?
that sounds familiar.
It was probably around the time of The Matrix, I'm guessing, because that's kind of what the special effects look like and some of the lighting. But like I finally watched this, and I feel like this is probably the closest we're ever gonna get to like a BioShock movie. But very weird, kind of gaslight art style.
This is Dune.
No, honestly, when I saw
Ooh,
those
the Crow.
guys,
You had me at the Crow, man.
well, that's why I did it, because I knew about this movie, and like after I finished Mad Max 2, I was like, hey, you want to watch The Crow? And I'm like, sure, but I should watch this.
Who
first,
recommended this? Some stranger on the street, or it was like your feed.
Yeah, it just very looks like BioShock, and it's got weird like BioShock 3, because it's got weird twisty like buildings are coming out of the ground and shrinking back into the ground. Like it's nuts. These guys, I thought those guys were going to be like somehow connected to the Hellraiser universe.
Is this based on a comic?
That is a great
It just gives
question.
me vibes of like
That is
it's
a great
based on
question.
something that exists.
I'm guessing at least a book.
Because they're mixing this 1920s kind of like, or 1910s kind of, I don't know, aesthetic with like futuristic stuff, future retro.
Well, I was also thinking too, when I was watching this
Whoa.
main character, I forget his name. He's very famous, but like, when I was seeing his performance, I kept thinking of what's his name's performance from what's the Mummy character in the DC or in the Marvel universe?
Oh, you're talking about the. Oh God, damn it, Kevin. Why do you pick things that I know I can picture in my
Yeah.
head, but I can't say out
Moon
loud?
Knight.
Moon Knight,
It's
yes.
kind of similar to one of Moon Knight's. I don't know. Yeah, very kind of similar.
Kiefer Sutherland, I like
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, good old Kiefer. I did not recognize him for the longest time. I kept thinking he was who's the guy that plays the first Batman?
Oh,
This is the
Val
show where
Kilmer.
I don't know anyone's
That's
names.
basically what we do every time we figure out what's the guy who he looked at this person. He was neighbors with that guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
This
but
looks visually very cool,
it
and it's
was
something that
very
I've
cool.
always seen. Just like being alive, like seeing like the cover on the VHS or whatever. Like that's how old this
Yeah.
movie is. Or seeing a random bit of a trailer, but it looks really cool.
Yeah. So this is probably the closest where I'll get to a Bioshock.
But I never hear people talking about it enough to think like, oh, this is one that's like a forgotten gem. You just never hear.
That's
Is
fair.
when I think of like Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh man, that movie is
That's what people
terrible,
always-
and
right.
I love it.
But people reference it like, hey, there's a lot of ideas that were kind of like plucked from this, for very sci-fi and stuff. But this is one that I just never hear people go back to.
That's probably fair enough.
But is it? And you did watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, random side tangent.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, and it's got what's her name, Jennifer Connelly or
Yeah,
whatever
she's
her
dope.
name is.
She's
So that don't hurt.
We got a lot of news, Gavin, to jump into.
We do.
Some of it's just
Red
little
alert.
updates on stuff. Helldivers 2.
Man, just killing it apparently.
Yeah. So last time we met, it was yet to release. We're kind of, very curious and interested in it. But Helldivers 2, some updates on it, reached a current concurrent player peak of 409,000 players on Sunday, February 18th, which is just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So that's nuts. It's been, off the charts. So much so that like they have to limit the amount of people that can play per day, like as far as like the server capacity.
Oh jeez.
It's crazy. Have you haven't played any at all, have you?
I have not played, but like
You
I
watch any footage?
when I'm working from home, sometimes I'll have some Twitch stream, and this is taking over Twitch. This is all anyone is playing.
I imagine.
It is shocking just how gorgeous this game is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I
On
guess
PS5 it looks it runs really well.
have you I know you've been kind of taken over by Death Stranding, but have you
Yes.
had a chance to kind of come back since launch?
I did play. I played on the launch day, which was Thursday when it actually came out,
Okay.
and got to jump on with Callum.
Oh,
We
nice.
played a couple of games because at the time, so it was as expected. It was the servers were having issues that first day,
Right.
but you were able to link up with people that are on your friends list, so you couldn't just join public games.
Mhm.
People can join your public game, but you could link up with whoever's on your friends list. So we played together, and we had no problems jumping in on games together,
Well, that's cool.
and played a good amount. So he had played at least an hour or two before me. I jumped in, and he was able to kind of show me around, almost like with the different components and stuff you have to manage. But I really, really dug it. It's the game is just kicking your ass the whole time, but it gives you that. It's a perfect balance of giving you a little bit of hope and a little bit of like room when you need it to like catch your breath, to make you feel like you're doing something and you're standing on your own. It does a really good job of that, but you have to like pay attention to a lot of stuff that's going on because there's friendly fire.
Right.
There's just a million enemies, and anything can kill you and will kill you. You will die, but like you can be brought back. You can summon stuff to help you. The actual way you do summon stuff, whether it's like an ammo reload or like a special weapon, it's like a mini game in the top right corner where it's like you have to enter almost like a Mortal Kombat like sequence of buttons.
Oh, for that, which is from the first game.
Okay, and I know that.
Yeah.
That's really cool because it's so hectic. And it's not fun to do like in real time because it's like there's so many other things you're worrying about.
You're already
But
panicking. Yeah.
yes, but it's still fun. They really nailed that where it's like it's chaotic and it's like I got to do this, I got to run around, but it adds to the tension.
As this guy just shoots his teammate.
And that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily somehow me and Callum played. We didn't really kill each other a bunch. I think cuz we both knew, okay, that's a thing, like let's avoid each other and like I know where he's going to be at. But it does happen.
You're doing the horror movie thing where the first thing you do is split up.
Right. There was times where that because it's like I'm looking for something and he's looking around, and then we realize, oh shit, we're on other sides of the map, and
Oh, geez.
there's so many.
Well, don't walk
environment-
into
yeah,
those.
There's so many environmental stuff that's trying to kill you. There's fall damage. Oh, reloading that's a maybe my biggest issue. Not even an issue. It's just like having to retrain my brain with that game.
Is it like a Gears of War style thing?
No,
or what are
not
you
the
doing?
not the special reload. It's just like I'm used to just
Or the commands for the, what are they called? Gambits or whatever, your little tactical things?
no. The issue with reloading is just that I'm used to every game ever where you shoot once, you can reload, and then you have your stock. All your bullets are still there somehow
Oh, you're
magically.
dropping all your bullets.
Yeah, but when
Oh,
this,
okay.
just like you would if you were to remove a clip from your gun and load in another one,
Yeah.
those bullets are gone. They're not there anymore. So
Yeah.
you have to remember, like, use your entire clip and then reload. So
Yeah.
that's been my biggest problem with the game, is just like relearning that, because every other game it's fine.
Something that's surprised me from watching it is like how often like these tactical dives really save your life,
Yeah.
and like it feels very cinematic. It looks very cool.
Although it takes a second to get back up, so it's like there's a give and take where it's like you can do that to get away from some of the crabs or enemies, and then other ones just come right back up, and you're taking your time getting back up again, and you just get rocked either way.
Have you watched any sort of like tips or tricks videos on
I have.
this? Okay, so
I forget all of it instantly, but there's a lot of stuff to remember.
Well, that was nice. If you do a forward dive, like it steadies your aim while you're on the
Oh
ground.
yeah, okay, yep.
Or I guess if you're in a cold area, your regular bullets like fire slower or something like that, but your energy weapons will blast for longer without
Yes.
overheating.
I saw the same thing. Yeah. There's also, you can change the fire rate on guns. It doesn't tell you can do that, but you can do that.
Yeah.
Or there's a full blown first person mode that you can do by clicking.
Oh, wow.
At least on PS5, you click one of the sticks, and you can change from third person to first person. That's really cool. I didn't know that until I saw some of those tips and tricks videos.
I wonder if they'll continue to add more like little hidden mechanics as kind of time goes on with this. One thing I was curious about is it seemed like launch week, people were fighting bugs,
Yeah.
bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, people were fighting robots.
It's Robot Vietnam. Yes.
What's going on? Why? What's happening?
So the plan is to like roll out these various threats
Okay.
over time, and it's a way of like keeping players engaged, which is a brilliant idea. So there's enemies that you won't encounter until they kind of release them,
That's a big boy.
and one of them is a robot. So that first week, yeah, it was just bugs, and you have your super Earth, which is the Earth that you're trying to protect, and then you have this galactic map that shows you all these rings of like various planets around yours, and the threats that are increasingly getting closer to super Earth. And they just showed you on one side of the map was the bugs. Now on the other side are these robots that are somewhere coming towards Earth. So you have to collectively, as players, like chip away at them to keep them at bay.
Right.
And that was a new thing they introduced. And the robots are no fucking joke. They just keep coming, and they're awesome. Some of them have like chainsaw blade arms and just like hot blade, sword arms.
Sure.
And there's just so many of them, and they'll shoot back at you too. It's kind of too much, but yeah, that's a new thing. So I'm really excited to see like what do they start to roll out as far as like new enemies or just new different planets that they'll allow you to jump onto.
Right.
It's really, really cool. And like, yeah, just that component of the entire player base working towards a goal too, because they'll show you the percentage of these planets that have been liberated
Right.
by how many people are playing it and what they're doing. But
Mhm.
very, very cool. I did notice. So if you can play alone, you can play with 4 people as the max at the moment.
Right.
But the game does really scale with you. So it's like if you play alone, it's kind of like doable. Even with the robots, it's actually really hard. But when you add people on your crew, it gets exponentially harder.
Nice.
But it still is something it's still doable. It's just like they really don't, give you a pass. It's like it's hard no matter what.
Okay. Now, did you feel at all like they have that community goal that you're trying to reach? Did you kind of feel like you were?
Well, you can see
contributing
like
to
a
that?
percentage meter and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like over when you're on your ship, and that is a big part of you're on your ship. You can engage with whatever mission you want to start with, so you can see overall what people are working on, and it does kind of incentivize you to see like what planet they're working on, what planet's closer to being taken over by whatever enemy.
Okay.
That does make you just as a player go like, oh, okay, I'm going to jump on that one because it's just like closer to being lost. And I haven't seen in real time if a planet is lost how that works, if it's no longer playable. But it does show you like the Helldivers' progress versus the enemy's progress on a particular planet. Although the planets are procedurally generated, so I don't know how that works, but everything
The levels look really
yeah,
nice.
they're all really good. It's like you don't really notice that. It doesn't feel like it's half baked or something.
Right. Well, that's cool.
It's great, and it's just like killing it as far as success wise. Like people are Really, really excited about this game. Playing it, it's dominating Steam. I have to imagine it's dominating PS5 as well. They don't
I'm
release
sure.
that stuff.
Do we think we can solely attribute the success of this game to the fact that it has capes?
The capes are a big part.
Okay.
Capes are a big part, which reminds me of the cosmetic stuff. So there is a full blown pack of stuff you can buy. Like Fortnite has it, where it's not a Rumble pack.
Pass?
Yeah, Battle Pass. They should call it Rumble Pack. That was the first thing I thought of. But it does have a full blown Battle Pass, and people have been talking about online where it's like, because they don't beat you over the head with it, it's an optional thing. There's countless people on Twitter who are like, I now want to buy this Battle Pass because it's like it's not making me do it. It's
Well,
just like
not
an
even
extra
a
thing.
full like $60 game, right? It's only like
It was
40 or
$40
something?
bucks. They did
Yeah.
everything right for this thing to be successful. Also, timing was on their side where it's like there wasn't a big release too,
Right.
which they can't really plan for, but everything was on point where it's like, yeah, even the servers have issues, but people are so excited to play it, they're
Right.
just waiting to jump on. But it's like the price point was right. They weren't egregious with the microtransactions. Like they really did the right job with this.
Well, that's interesting because I know at the start I was hearing complaints about the people who just kept saying like, "Hey, it's pay to win," where other people were.
It's not at all.
defending
It's
it.
all cosmetic.
Okay.
Yeah, your the stuff that you unlock as far as like weapon upgrades, it's all through progressing. From what I understand, like I haven't played a bunch, but from what I understand, it's that way. But even then, it's like it's PVE.
Right.
So it's like you don't really have an advantage over another player. It's like maybe you'll be better in a squad. So it seems like by doing that, there's no repercussions.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. For $40 too in this day and age with everything $70, it's like it's a win. You got to jump on it.
Yeah. Well, good for them. I'm very excited for the studio to.
Yeah, Arrowhead is the studio.
Yeah.
They did say recently some of the higher ups at Arrowhead were on Twitter, and they've been pretty vocal on Twitter, which is really cool.
Yeah.
They mentioned it's taken them 8 years to develop this, which is a long time. And I wonder how expensive this game was to make because,
What?
yeah, 8 years. Although, I mean, we're in a day and age where all these games take so long to actually develop, but like,
Right.
okay, so it's 8 years, but given they didn't foresee the demand as far as like the server stuff, but the game didn't release broken. It was like, it's pretty polished from what
Yeah.
I would say. I would debate that it is like, it's just a matter of like, they didn't realize the actual popularity of this game, but otherwise it's like, it's all the features are here. It's like, it's not broken. It's not janky. So that 8 years really lend well to the time they spent on it.
But 8 years, that's almost
That's a long time.
almost a Suicide Squad right there.
That's very true. And like I know Sony published this, but it's like, what does the budget look like in this thing? And now the debate or the conversation online is like, does Sony now acquire the studio because they have such a big hit on their hands? I don't
Smart
know.
move.
But what I like with this studio, and I'm not, super familiar with them, but what I like, at least seeing them recently, is they'll be on Twitter saying like, oh, we're not going to do PvP. It's like just not something we want to plan on doing.
Sure.
Or it's like, hey, that was one of the quotes that was being circulated recently. One of the heads of the studio was like, you don't have to buy this thing right now. The servers are so overloaded. It's like you can wait and then just like jump in later.
Please wait is what he's saying.
Right.
Please wait.
But it's like then big boy Sony comes in and acquires them. They're not able to be that vocal or that honest or like
Right.
conversate with the community. It's like they're just another cog in the machine. So it's like, although they'd have more ability to work on the stuff they want to if they were required, they'd have a bigger just infrastructure. I like the fact that they're still feel like they're on their own kind of thing
Right.
and able to do what they want. So I don't know, but they're really they're really talented studio.
That's exciting. I'm super happy for them. Hopefully they can kind of keep this going. We'll see what bugs we're fighting next week or
Yeah.
what kind of I don't know what they got up their sleeves.
I don't know, and it's I didn't play the first one, so I don't know what other enemies are already established that they could bring forward in this one.
I don't remember enough of the first. I remember the bugs. I don't remember
Yeah.
the automatons.
Yeah, but the robots, automatons are very scary. But that's been pretty big these past couple
Yeah.
weeks. Gavin,
Yeah.
jump into our next one here on the docket. I should have grabbed tea. Instead, I grabbed whiskey and root beer for my throat. So that's
In theory, because whiskey has it kind of burns in that.
you know what? I'm gonna go with your medical advice.
In
Absolutely.
theory, it should work. If anything, just you got to make a hot toddy next.
Yeah, I just don't like warm. I don't know if I've ever really tried warm whiskey or warm alcoholic drinks. I
It
don't know if
works in a hot toddy
okay.
or an Irish coffee.
Yeah, I haven't tried it. How would you throw it in the oven? How do you?
Oh, I've never made it myself. I
Yeah,
don't
how
know.
do you make these warm? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Gavin. We'll see if I survive. But in the past couple weeks that we've met, there was the bit we're on the heels of the big Xbox update. That
A
was
big Xbox update.
yeah, there was them, really having seems like forced to talk about what their plans were with going multi-platform.
Yeah.
So we got an update, and it was in the form of a podcast. So we have the actual breakdown of some of the details here from that podcast. And I wrote big Xbox update could have been an email because I thought overall there wasn't anything substantial from this.
Agreed. Yeah.
Which makes me angry because it's like you could have then just like sent a tweet right off the bat when people were like, "Hey, what's going on?" And Phil Spencer goes, "Hey, you know what? He says we're listening. We're gonna hit you up in like next month. We're gonna give you that update." And it's like, okay, just tell us now because this is nothing. And you stop the internet from lighting on fire, and people going, "Oh, Xbox is dead." Why let them do that for a week and a half?
I wonder if Phil has shot himself in the foot enough times going off the cuff that they're like, all right, we're gonna restrict you a little bit.
It's interesting. I mean, and I've seen other people online break this down where it's like this is now a multi-trillion-dollar company.
Right.
They're not just going to make, knee-jerk reactions. Like everything's planned out. So me, behind my keyboard, it's like it feels strange to me to wait that long, but there is strategic stuff happening.
Right. Or the fact that like their stock prices went down a little bit when this happened. I feel like this wasn't even for the gamers. This is just to get your stock prices back up.
It's yeah, I wonder the real world Illuminati stuff behind the scenes, but we'll see. So here's some of the breakdowns from their podcast update. So 4 Xbox games are going multi-platform. Mm-hmm. So Spencer declined to specify which games are going multi-platform, which I don't know fucking why, but implied it's 2 community-driven titles and 2 smaller games, and that Starfield and Indiana Jones and The Great Circle aren't included. So it's not those 2. That was one of the big connections with the people, claiming that they had known what was going on. Mm-hmm. Now, after they said that, every outlet was basically like, yeah, it's these 4. So they list them.
Right. And it probably is those 4, to be fair.
Right. It's just like for some reason they want to be strategic with it. Now, Phil does mention like there's deals, promotions involved. So it's like there might be just like not legal stuff, but like, hey, we made agreements to whatever studios and whatever platforms to be like, we're going to announce this on this date. So even though it broke online, it's like we're going to stick to these times.
Well, somebody pointed out like Xbox is technically one of the biggest publishers on both Nintendo and Sony.
Now with the ABK, Activision Blizzard, yeah.
Oh, no. Minecraft.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Minecraft too. Yeah, that's true. I forget about Minecraft. Yeah, because that's been multi-platform for a while, but people kind of don't remember or don't freak out as much when they talk about this kind of stuff.
Right.
But those 4 games, regardless, are Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded.
Most likely.
Most likely.
If they're not, I will.
And I think those would lend themselves well. It's not like these core. What are even core Xbox franchises anymore? But they're
certainly not Halo.
That's the thing. It's like the ones you think of are not dead, but we haven't seen anything for a while. Yeah. And I don't know if they care about it anymore. So they're in a state of flux. But, and I sound super negative, but I'm a big Xbox fan. It's just like frustration with, is there like a coup going on inside of them? Like, what is the plan going forward? Is there struggle? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you want more people for your live service games. Not that Grounded's really live service. They've also finished development on it. Unless they finished so they could work on
updates here and there, though.
The PS, I thought they were done with the updates. I thought they said, anyway. But yeah, Sea of Thieves, I assume is still making content. I don't know.
There is various little there was like a Disney themed expansion or kind of cosmetic stuff. So they do add little tidbits of stuff to it for sure.
Right. Yeah. No, like you said, this could have been an email.
Could have been an email. Those are safe, properties to then transition over to multi-platform. It was just like people saying Starfield and Gears of War. And so for them if you threw these 4 out right off the bat, then that would have squashed that whole thing and then given them time to have their proper business update when they wanted to.
I wonder if, I don't know. I'm surprised they're not putting Starfield out. But
now that could be the plan eventually.
Could be.
It's just like right now, these are the 4 that they're sticking to, but I wouldn't doubt that is the plan. And I'm not even mad at that. They have to do something to sell some software. I think it's fine to wait a year, you know. That's what we did with that's what we saw with the Bethesda deal, where a lot of these games, at least in the halfway or in between, you had what's the Tokyo game we were just talking about, and there's another one that's a time loop game that I wasn't so big on. You were fine on Deathloop. Those are two games that were both like locked in that transitional where they made that Bethesda deal announcement where they waited a year before they launched on Xbox, and they were PlayStation exclusives at the time. So I think waiting a year is fine, and then you bring that revenue back. That's I don't know. That's fine to me.
No.
Now they also, I think, to soften the blow or the non-event, they announced Diablo 4 will come to Game Pass March 28th. That was part of that update, which is cool.
Meanwhile, Last Epoch just launched which is now kind of turning into a Path of the Exile killer. With Path of the Exile was like a Diablo killer, so yeah,
okay, interesting.
Is my understanding.
Gotcha. I'm not a big Diablo fan or
No
Diablo guy. Now they also announced Xbox is working on a next gen platform, which I didn't need to.
They did.
They did. I didn't need to hear this, but
oh.
So here's a quote. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday, and we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. What we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will ever have seen in a hardware generation.
Right. Which somebody was pointing out is like, he kind of has to say that. Like, you're not going to say like, oh, our next Pro model is worse than the current one, or it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay. It is weird, though, with that, because I was hearing some analysts saying that Sony's probably dropping their Pro model this year, which is still weird, because why?
It's in our news, yep.
But then, like, you got the Switch 2 possibly coming out, like, just going to be that much further behind. Such
Maybe.
a weird time.
Maybe. Although, I mean, we'll get into Switch when we cover that here in a couple minutes, but it's like they could keep doing their own thing. They've been successful at it. It's like they still have hardware that's behind the progression of wherever the generation is, but as long as the software is there, like I'll buy it still.
I think the point kind of is like, don't be so far behind you're hard to develop for, right? Like,
yeah, true.
Remedy talked about it was hard to get.
Although PS3 says hold my beer and then the cell chip.
Well,
and they were courage yet.
But you look at Remedy complaining about putting Alan Wake 2 on
the Series S,
or what was the other?
The Larian Dev.
Yes,
with Baldur's Gate. Yeah,
absolutely. So they're probably going to be behind that. So that gets to be a problem when you're hard to develop for.
I'm very interested to see, because if they can at least nail PS4, Xbox One hardware.
Yeah.
But if they're like behind the scenes, or not behind the scenes, but like under the hood, if it's really, open for devs to manipulate where they need to,
right, then
maybe that's still, positive, because like look at the Switch and how a lot of these PC games were able to be ported there. A lot of stuff was ported there that you think they would not run. Yeah. Apex Legends was on there. It's like this stuff shouldn't on paper work, but it does. So maybe they do have a lot of these options for devs to like just tinker around and But yeah, I mean we'll see. That is one of the stories here. But with the closing up on Xbox, the next gen, or them claiming the next generation of Xbox is gonna be the biggest hardware leap. I've heard that stuff before. They've said that with the Xbox Series, with the Xbox One X. That was that mid-gen refresh. So I remember, and I bought that too, and I love that little console. But they were once they launched that, they were able to really drive that home in marketing, where it's like, this is the most powerful, home console. And it's like, it technically was, but then the PS4 is out, but then the games that release on each of them are on par with each other. So it's like, maybe you can claim that, but when these games actually come out, they're going to be the same. Like, look at the Xbox One X right now and the PS5. Like, those are on par with each other, performance-wise. Right.
And I still feel like this generational leap every generational leap seems like it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
That being said, like when you talk about GPUs, like you have a 40 series, I have a 30 series card in our computers. Yours is literally twice as powerful as mine. Literally twice. Is
it twice or like a third? I don't know.
It's like twice. So like some of these GPU jumps are getting huge. They're expensive though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they need to focus on. I don't think the quality of the hardware is the issue with Xbox.
Okay.
I think it's the software. I think it's the games.
Yeah.
The Xbox One X is theoretically more powerful than the PS5, and it's a little honker machine. But it's like, what games are on there? There's nothing that's where I need to buy an Xbox Series X just to play it there. I thought it was Starfield, but it's like it's still okay, locked at 30 frames or whatever.
Right.
It was a fine game. It's just like, okay, when's the next big release that means I have to have this console? There isn't a lot of them.
Starfield locked at 30?
Yeah, it was still locked at 30. Which I'm a big, like frame rate queen, but I still just changed my brain and got used to it, and it was fine. But you remember that there was a whole scuttlebutt with
I remember.
Bethesda
now,
was like, "Oh, we intended on this being 30 frames the whole time." I'm like, bitch, no, you didn't. Come
It's
on.
not that. It's a great. I think it's a good looking game. It is not that good of a looking game.
Not to warrant, and there's a lot of stuff going on under
Sure.
the hood. I'm sure.
Absolutely, you can
But-
fit as many potatoes as you can in your cargo hold.
But then on PC, people are playing it, at least beyond 30. I know it was still hard to run on PC.
Yeah.
But and then when I see 60 frame footage of Starfield, it's like, oh, this looks buttery smooth. I love this.
Yeah.
I would have loved to play it on console, but it was still fine, and I completed the whole game on 30.
Yeah.
Anyways, I that's all to say. Like, I don't know if that's going to be the big thing bringing people into the Xbox platform. Is like we have the best performing machine. I think of like what was it like the Sega generation where they kept releasing all these hardware iterations that compete with like Super Nintendo and eventually Nintendo 64, adding the Sega disc drive or the Sega Saturn.
Yeah. Too
They
many
were
models.
and they were always like upping the ante where it's like this is the most powerful console you can have. People were like, that's cool. What can you play on it? They're like, well,
It's got blast processing.
right, but it's got that. Yeah,
it does what Nintendo owns.
yeah, and you can stack them. They're like, cool. What the fuck can you play on it? So it's like it's literally the same thing repeating itself.
Yeah.
And there are solid games on Xbox. It's just like we're barely getting there where they're releasing. So I just have no interest in looking at what the next gen platform is for Xbox. I just want to see these games come out and play them now.
Well, I tell you what, it is a very good thing for Nintendo or for Microsoft then, because we got Sony who's just said, "Hey, we got no big games coming out this year,"
They did say that.
which is nuts.
Yeah, I pulled up the little update. So Sony mentioned that they see the PS5 entering the second half of its life cycle starting this year, and then they have no releases from major existing IPs until at least April 2025. Now, there's still third-party stuff and whatnot, but
Right.
the big, God of War, Spider-Man stuff, nothing like that for the next year.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, everyone's been releasing just like it seemed like the pandemic delayed everything until it all got released at once.
Yeah.
So we were spoiled last year. But also so we got Microsoft doing this, we got Sony doing this. Then we got Nintendo, who we're pretty sure is about to run out of games for this year. 'Cause it sounds like they were probably going to release the Switch this year or the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And they got they got a lot of games planned for the first half of this year. They got the Princess Peach coming out next month. They've announced a bunch of stuff for that. They're about to release the games that they're announcing tomorrow are also supposed to be for the first half of this year.
Yep. We got Nintendo Direct. So this is a partner showcase. It's going to be announced for tomorrow, 6 a.m. So it's focused on Switch games coming to the first half of 2024, like you mentioned. It's publishing and development partner, so all like third party, I guess,
Right.
second party stuff, which is cool. They're padding that part out, but then, so the rumors were we're going to get Switch 2 sooner than we thought. So originally rumored, this is from PCMag.com.
You mean later than we thought?
Later than we thought, but
Okay.
we thought it was sooner, but it was later, and then it was sooner, but it was later. Originally rumored to launch September of this year. Sources speaking with VGC.com, which is Video Game Chronicles, now say Nintendo is targeting a release in Q1 2025 as opposed to the September, so it can prep more games to launch alongside the revamped console. Now, one of those games could be Metroid Prime 4, which was announced in 2017, but is rumored to be on hold until the new console arrives.
I assume, yeah.
Now, the multiple outlets reported the day that story broke on the delay on the Switch 2, Nintendo stock dropped 5.8% in one day, which
So-
I don't know the equivalent, but I'm sure that's some money.
So if you look it up real quick, like if you Google Nintendo stock,
Yeah.
it is not nearly as impressive as like it looks impressive. If you put this
We're
up
at
on screen,
$13.62.
yeah, so that's been consistent all day.
Okay.
I'll kind of clear
That
out a
has
little
been,
bit.
yeah. So it's 5
Yeah,
days.
so go to 5 days. So there you can see the
Okay.
drop. All right, now go to 1 month.
Oh, so it was
Okay.
on a decline?
That got a little more.
No, it's February.
Now go to 6
15th.
months. They've been killing it this
Oh,
year.
absolutely. So we went the peak was $15 roughly USD.
Yeah.
Then we dropped down to $13.62 USD.
Yeah. So that's nothing to sniff
Now's
at.
the time to jump in before Switch 2 comes out.
Maybe.
Absolutely, because it's gonna go back up. Like,
But you got to buy a bunch.
I don't know how stonks work, and I don't have any money.
I also do not understand the stonks.
Will they take? Can I put like food stamps into stonks
Yes,
if it's a food related stonk?
100%.
I don't know, but yeah,
as
it
long
is.
as you pay your grip, you get your
Now, why was it
dividends paid
so
in
low in
bologna.
2020?
I don't think it's low. I think this is just how the charts
relative.
work.
I
Yeah.
see.
So they're not going to go all the way to
But
zero.
$10 to up to $5. I don't know if that's a huge jump considering.
It also,
So let's look at 5 years. Okay, so it fluctuates.
Yeah, it's all over.
At a peak of 15.
Wonder what happened in 2021.
Pandemic
it was
stuff.
probably when did the last Animal Crossing come out?
That was 2020. I remember that was
Okay, that was 2020.
deep into the pandemic, or right in the beginning. People were like, "Oh shit."
Wonder what it was.
Yeah, 2021 was, I don't know, because you have Tears of the Kingdom, which was 2023.
Wasn't that towards the end of 2023?
Yeah,
so
and
that's
that wasn't
probably where that jump happened.
Right, but like we're around $10. It was higher, around $16 in 2021. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Strange. But yeah, I did drop a little bit from that rumors. They do have their Nintendo Direct tomorrow, focusing on the third-party stuff. But that could help them, add some padding until this thing comes out.
I do like though with so there's that leaker online, and somebody tweeted at them, should I be excited for tomorrow's partner presentation? He said, I'm not.
Now I pulled up. I'm dying. Another tweet from this leaker apparently. So it's PHLUTT. It's like flute to pay. The leaker who dropped the information
I heard how
first.
you pronounced it earlier, and I've already forgotten.
Yeah, so it's the information, or the leaker who dropped the information first about the Switch 2's
It's been very
move.
consistent, yeah.
Apparently, right? So he also predicts they also predict a March Indie World Direct, and then in April Nintendo Direct, and then in June a Switch 2 actual reveal. That's what they say.
When did they make those predictions?
I don't know.
I wonder if those have been revised at all since then.
This has been tied to some of the recent stuff with the Switch 2 delay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this is recent, but
he's been 100 for 100 so far. Like he even got the Mario RPG remake, which
oh really?
No one was gonna guess that. I would never assume that was gonna happen. Or Paper Mario. Like
no, it's like they pick these properties that, like, it's cool to see them come back, but it's like, where's the Zelda love?
Speaking of, you're getting the new Mario versus Donkey Kong, right?
I am interested in it.
Okay.
I am interested because I did play the original that was on the Switch. No, the
Game Boy Advance?
No, not the Game Boy Advance. Maybe not the original, but there was one on the 3DS or 2DS.
Oh.
It was what was the clamshell white one?
That was the DS.
That was DS. DS Lite?
So I think that was what Mario, was that the Mario and the Minis one?
The Minis. I remember
Okay.
that. So that might have been after this. Yes.
Yes, that was after this one.
And
So-
I liked that. I didn't play a bunch of it, but
well, you're like, I hear this one's better.
it looks cool. I've seen I don't know if I watched
And-
reviews, but I watched gameplay of it.
Well, I hear the main complaint is this sucker is full priced for
Not
a
full price experience.
20-year-old Game Boy Advance game.
I see. Yeah.
That's that being said, if they do that for the Mario and Luigi games, I will be there day
Yeah.
one.
Nice. I know people love those.
Oh yeah.
Which those are like a turn-based kind of thing.
Yeah, turn-based, but closer to like Super Mario RPG or Paper Mario, where you're doing
Gotcha.
action. You're doing all sorts of mini games while you're in combat. So they're laugh out loud, funny.
It seems like it. Yeah, just from it seems wonky. And who develops that? Do you know if, like, is this internal Nintendo, or like they have another, like, Square Enix or something doing it?
I think it was called Dream something, but they've gone under now. So they put
Oh,
out
okay.
they just put out flop after flop after flop.
Gotcha.
And then they went under. So, which is too bad.
That is a bummer. Gavin, we did talk about the PS5 Pro. So that's been circulating online the past couple of days. Analysts say that it's likely to launch this year, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But,
Although speaking of PlayStation hardware, did you hear the news about the PlayStation Portal?
yeah, so I have that. So from The Verge, so Sony's PlayStation Portal hacked to run emulated PSP games, which is finally a reason to buy a PlayStation Portal.
There we go. I mean, maybe when they get to what do they call the second PlayStation Vita?
Yeah, PS Vita. Now that's also, it's like relative to the hardware that's on the PS Portal, because it has hardware
Right.
to handle, Wi-Fi, whatever, translations and geometry. I don't know how that works, but it has this basic hardware there. Is it advanced enough to emulate a Vita? I don't know, but it seems like a PSP that's fair enough.
Probably not. I'm guessing the PSP
That's gotta be
was pretty not very powerful.
Yeah, yeah. Where I could see that could be emulated, but like a
Well,
Vita could be tougher to emulate.
I wonder with the original PSP, how did that compare to? I feel like that was like close to a PS2. Maybe I'm wrong.
I would say PS1,
You think
PS
that?
1.5,
Okay. Maybe
yeah.
a 1.5.
1.5.
Yeah. So that's probably not. I mean, you got to remember, like PlayStation wasn't even 64-bit.
Yeah,
Like it's a little more than a Super Nintendo.
damn,
But
that's crazy.
well, that's probably over
But
exaggerating.
they're able to cheese more of the 3D than the other
Yeah.
consoles at the time,
I mean, you saw what the 3D looked like. It was wibbling
Yeah.
and wobbling all over the
like
place.
Virtua Fighter and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, and then it would fall down, but
and then you have the Vita, which as far as like hardware equivalent, it wasn't. It was sometimes PS3. It was sometimes
The
It was
Vita?
at least more PS2.
I'm guessing the Vita was past the PS2 in terms of
Yeah,
quality.
but it was like it was pretty close to PS3 style gameplay, and
Yeah.
then that at that time the PS4 was out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they're always kind of like a generation behind ish. But yeah, that was a thing, and people are hacking this. Now, what I love is the emulator service. So it's two Google engineers that have managed to get this to work.
Oh my god. Also, God bless the emulation community. They will put anything on literally anything.
Oh yeah, they're the ones. They're doing God's work. But it's called the PPSSPP or which I love to see. But that's the name of the PSP emulation software.
Oh, that's amazing.
Gavin, I'm dying slowly, so we're going to wrap this up. But I have
Okay.
one more here. So Star Wars Mandalorian video game reportedly in the works at Respawn. It's from IGN.
It's Respawn. Those are the Titanfall guys, right?
Yep. So Insider
Give
Gaming,
me that jetpack and wall running.
absolutely, they would nail this. So they made the there's another Star Wars game
Okay.
that's really popular, third person action platforming Star Wars game.
Are you talking about Eldos?
No, what's the this guy's got cool hair. You're jumping around, you're a Jedi, but Respawn does that
Oh,
one
I
too.
forgot that was
Yes.
them. Yeah.
Yes, so they're already well versed in that world. But Insider Gaming reports Respawn's Mandalorian game, which in the early stages of development lets players control a Mandalorian bounty hunter during a time when the Empire is dominating the galaxy. Standard, Mandalorian stuff. No word on if it's first person, third person.
I hope it's first. That
I
be
would,
cool.
yeah, I would also very much hope that it's first. As for when the game is coming out, Insider Gaming reports it's still a year or two away at least. But yeah,
That's exciting.
And then watching the show, it's like, oh, this is basically a video game. It's like, so it lends itself well to a video game format.
Yeah, especially the last season. I think this will be hopefully the game that Retro Studios wanted to make, because there was a point where Retro, they were going to make us, a Metroid game where it's like, oh, she's a bounty hunter, so she's going to go out, she's going to go on bounties, she's going to go to this planet and collect it. And then they pitched to Nintendo, and they're like, what? Samus wouldn't do that. Like, what are you talking about? She's a bounty hunter. Turns out they didn't know what that term meant.
Oh my God. Cause you're right. Like you're stuck on a planet. You're just kind of doing this stuff to eventually get off, but you don't have any missions or jobs that people are giving you.
In one, you're in the military. Yeah, it has nothing to do with bounty hunting. So they just thought it was a rebel or rogue.
It's a translation issue. I'm sure.
Well, before we go, would you like to co-op?
Yeah. How do I get this on
on
my computer?
Just Google co-op and we'll see if we can't get
How
you
do you
there.
spell that? Co-op? Q?
It's Q. Here we go. So Bennett Foddy, this is a guy who made Getting Over It. Hopefully we can. Is there a full screen mode? So we'll see if you can get to the first hurdle.
Okay.
So we'll see
how
how.
Q, U, and O and P.
Yep. So you get thighs on the left, calves on the right.
I might not be clicked on it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's try that. All right. All right. Let's.
So the one thing you're gonna miss though, because you don't have the audio turned on, or we can't hear the audio anyway. The faster you go, there's a song, I don't know if you remember it, called Chariots of Fire.
Oh, the
yes, dun 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 dun, dun, and that starts to
Absolutely.
play as you, I'm sure very illegally, as you go.
Well, I guess if you're not charging people for this, then
Yeah.
it's fine.
Oh, definitely.
Here, I'll make sure that's at least feeding through.
Right.
So
Dun, 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 dun,
I would love it to like at least keep him upright when I'm like trying to figure out the Okay, I forgot
Oh,
calves were in play.
Oh, it's Bennett Foddy. He doesn't give a fuck. I do love. I've seen some really good cosplays of this where it's just a person in the track outfit and then they just fling onto their back.
So what do your thighs do, and what do your calves do? How do you walk? There's that. I think you should leave one where he's in VR and this basically the same. Okay, I'll have you try this because
Okay, I haven't done it in a while.
Quappy quap.
When I was really good, I used to be able to run. That day is not today.
Okay, you're at least on your toes.
I know part of it is you can't let them settle. And I would walk. Try the other way. There we go. Nope.
Whoa.
I think there is a slight rhythm to you got to alternate.
Yeah, I would like a Just Dance version of this where you're trying to dance, but using these controls.
Oops, I'm starting the wrong way. Okay, maybe it's this way.
And the crunch sound of you dying. Oh, you're okay. Okay.
Oh man, I literally used to be able to get him up. I'm gonna start playing this when I get home.
What's another horrible configuration to play this? Like a Dance Dance Revolution pad or like Guitar Hero?
I would not do that. Come on. So one strategy you can do. Hold on. Let's see if I can get into it. This is how most people get far. Is they just sort of.
Oh, just cheese it. Just scoot.
Yeah, you can just do the split scoot. No, don't go backwards, you bastard.
I think if I could like see his thigh and calf like when they engage when I press the button.
Oh, there it
if
is.
That's
Hold
what
on.
I was seeing. I think it'd make more sense.
I got it. Nope, I don't got it. I don't got it. I'm like running in place. I am actively moonwalking.
You're going backwards. Oh God.
All right, so I think it's W, then shortly after O, and then Q, and then shortly after P.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I would walk like 500 miles. Believe it or not, there are hurdles on the track.
Oh, you have to jump over stuff? Oh, you broke your leg too in that.
I've definitely never, I don't know. I feel like I've gotten to the hurdles and then I just scoot the hurdles forward with me.
Can you do a full backflip?
Oh, I'm sure. Come on. Let's get going here.
It's what kills me is this guy's like me getting ready for the day.
Oh, there we
It's
go.
just
I got
way
the
he's
skip
like,
going. Yeah.
You got it. It's like a giraffe being born.
Imagine the music playing right now. Dun 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 dun. Fuck. Oh, but that was, you can see, you can kind of get to a slow-mo
Everyone is a winner.
sprint. But yeah, if anyone else goes to so this is at
Body.net.
If you go to foddy.net, he's also got a bunch of other games like this. A lot of ones designed to actually make your fingers hurt while you play them. So
We need to integrate this into Death Stranding and make it full circle.
well, I mean, that's clearly what it's going to be. So that's why I was excited when I saw that game was made by him.
All righty, Gavin. Well, we'll end it for this week. They can find us online on Twitter at Plastic Art Pod. Gavin, if you'll tell the beautiful people out there, good night.
Have a good night, beautiful people.